I guess I really hope that we move to a future where decentralization does help us move away from these centralized brands and we
Big
can have
brand.
more independence.
Hello, welcome to White Mirror. We're on episode 5, so we're moving along a little bit. Si, welcome back. Just before we get cracking, Si's been to Hong Kong. Where else did you go?
Japan, Osaka.
They got Musaka in Japan. That's cool. I went to Greece once. It was lovely there. But anyway, that sounds very exciting, mate. What I don't understand is why I've got the tan and you haven't. I think there's something wrong with my camera. I look like Donald Trump. I'd just like to say quickly, thanks for watching and tuning into this. And please, if you could subscribe and like and share our content, it will help us absolutely no end because, the quicker this spreads, the more and more people get into decentralization, Web3, and we start the revolution. So anyway, Si, what are we on today?
Well, it's funny you should just say that about decentralization, Dave, because we were on the phone the other day and we were talking generally about the last few episodes, and you sort of saying, I get it, I love the last few episodes, but I still can't picture it.
Yeah.
And I
What does it look like?
recognize this. Yeah, it's difficult for people to understand exactly what Web3 is all about because they can't visualize it. Very, very similar to sort of Web2. If you said to someone, um, you know, 15 years ago, you'll be using everything on your phone and you'll be logging into everything on your phone, all the different apps and stuff, they would have found it quite difficult to picture. And that's exactly where we are with Web3. So I thought in this episode, we would try and do a bit of a prediction or a kind of a look forward to what it looks like. What does Web3 really look like? Short term, next few years, medium term, 5 to 7 years or so, and then 10 years out.
Fantastic. It's exciting. Let's go.
So envision the future of Web3, Dave. What does it look like? Okay. So I'm gonna really rapidly go through the points as quick bullets, and then maybe we can kind of delve a bit deeper into each one of them in the next few slides. How's that sound?
Perfect. So I go ahead.
Okay, so wallets as logins. Your digital wallet is your one-click sign-in. And people are probably going to say, okay, well, we have single sign-on and that sort of thing already. But this is a bit different, and we're going to talk about exactly why. Payments feel faster and cheaper. Crypto is going to start getting used a bit more. Talk about that. Tickets and passes and NFTs and all of that sort of thing. NFTs finally get to shine. That's certainly going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. Brands are experimenting with loyalty a lot more. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
That's all the short term, 2 to 3 years. Now, a bit further out, medium 5 to 7 years, streaming and media without ads. You are the product. If you're being shown ads, you're the product. Let's talk a bit about that one and paying tiny amounts for songs and things like that. Community-owned services, DAOs a bit more. We'll talk about those sort of things in these few slides. Credentials and decentralized identity. Some people have some fears around this. Let's alleviate those fears.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And DAOs in everyday life. They're going to start to appear around this sort of 5 to 7 year time frame. Moving a bit further forward, this is the long term. This is the harder one to predict, but I believe that DAOs will be running practically everything. Let me tell you a bit about why. Transparent governance. This is great. Weeding out corruption and all of that sort of thing because of the blockchain, because of the transparency that we get from the blockchain.
Wow.
Full self-sovereign identity. I've skipped one deliberately. Your kind of credentials and things being all on chain. Again, this is the one that people fear, but they need not to. 10 years out, it's probably going to be far, far more prevalent. But the voting and everything that we'll be doing more of, the kind of the governance structures, we'll need AI and Web3 co-pilots for all of that sort of thing.
Fabulous.
Okay. So maybe we can dive in a bit, Dave, to this first slide. In the short term, we're definitely going to be able to log into websites a lot easier. We know we've got this single sign-on concept at the moment. We've got Apple ID, we've got Google sign in and those sorts of things. We've got that one-click
Two
sign in.
stuff.
Yeah, but they're centralized, aren't they? And they're kind of we have to rely on Google and Apple and the big players, Facebook and all of those. That same concept is kind of going to be transitioning into your decentralized wallet, which I think is a really good thing. But the main point here I'm trying to make is that replacing passwords, I'm getting away from those decades of kind of years and years of having to remember different passwords. There is some security considerations, like, for example, maybe you want to use your hardware wallet that we talked about in one of the last episodes. But if you can log into your wallet initially, and then you can browse all the different websites and things for a period of time, maybe 24 hours, you won't have to start logging into each one of them. Your wallet will allow you to quickly go into those different websites or online services.
Okay.
So there's certainly a lot more security around that.
Let's make a little distinction here, Si, because a lot of people who are watching this are going to be thinking, well, wait a minute, isn't this kind of like, this is starting to sound like a little bit like the digital ID thing, where all your information is stored in one place. How is this going to differ from a centralized digital ID?
Sorry, yeah, we're going to come on to that. Now, certainly payments are going to be a lot faster. People keep saying, when are we going to start paying with crypto? We've got the major problem that, of course, crypto is volatile. And one of the things that's been stopping it from being adopted is people are kind of used to looking at the price of things in either dollars or pounds or euros, right? They don't want the crypto in their wallet to fluctuate and them to have to pay more than they did last week. So it's like this very, very volatile thing that's going up and down, aside to your kind of the price of your groceries, which is staying fixed.
Well, it's not actually. It's not staying fixed because you've got inflation.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
It's another tax, isn't it? And that's going up and up. So
yeah, we kind of touched on that in some prior episodes. But this is the thing that perhaps might be stopping it. But payments are certainly going to be going over to crypto. We know that Visa and MasterCard, for example, they're already testing, trialing blockchain payments. So I guess in a few years, many users won't actually know that they're tapping their Visa card and it's probably going through the blockchain. And there may be some crypto in the background there that's providing the liquidity layer, right?
Okay.
So, but the main thing is, if Visa and MasterCard start using these for payments, I don't see why we can't have more competitors to those two giants.
The key, isn't it?
Certainly, I think you might be tapping your Visa card or your MasterCard, and it can be making a crypto payment in USDC, the Circle stablecoin that is effectively the dollar. So it's kind of be an easy, gradual transition like that. But a little bit further down the line, you might be making micro payments in Solana, and you might be choosing certain other crypto tokens.
Which one you want to use? Yeah.
Yeah, with the ones that you want to use. So micro payments, we might be making micro payments that are less than a cent or less than a penny, because it'd be more easy to do that. And we'll talk about micro payments again in another slide or so. But moving on, wallets with superpowers. So yeah, we're now talking about tickets and passes that will become NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So we talked about fungible tokens being things like crypto tokens. One Bitcoin, your Bitcoin is the same as my Bitcoin. Your Solana is the same as my Solana. I don't mind if we swap. But NFTs, they're non-fungible. We can have an NFT that represents my ticket to the concert, and you can have a separate ticket, have a separate seat, right?
Yeah.
And those tokens are one-offs. But they still exist on the blockchain like a normal, like a Bitcoin or like a Solana token. So you can send them around in the same way, or they can deposit it in your wallet next to your Bitcoin. You've got different things inside your wallet. NFTs are definitely going to be far more prevalent.
Okay, yeah.
Airplane tickets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have to keep reiterating that this is decentralized technology. This is not from a central organization.
Yeah,
This is a shared network, and it's by the people for the people. Okay.
exactly. You bring up a really important point, especially with NFTs, because of this centralized, or because we're moving to the decentralized version. Previously, with the centralized model, somebody who's adopting a digital ticket system,
Yeah.
it might be a totally different proprietary system to somebody else's digital ticketing system, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
everything on the blockchain, there are all these open standards. So let's move over. I think that brands are going to be experimenting with loyalty far more. I've got a Starbucks logo. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was a little
I wish
independent.
it wasn't. Anyway,
But people recognize it. And I guess from a loyalty standpoint,
yeah,
people
it's
totally,
better than the big M, Si. At least you didn't do that.
yeah, almost did actually.
Okay.
But I guess I really hope that we move to a future where decentralization does help us move away from these centralized brands and we
Big
can have
brand.
more independence and they can use the blockchain and all this technology that's all there for them. But let's use Starbucks as an example because everyone's sort of familiar with kind of collecting tokens. Well, not even token, points, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cappuccino, you get X number of points. And it's the same at all the coffee places. But let's imagine a future where, Starbucks points are more like blockchain tokens on the blockchain.
Okay, okay, yeah.
And again, it's all in the public infrastructure. So you can sort of take your Starbucks, I could really imagine this. You take your Starbucks tokens and you could sort of sell them on the open market, perhaps, or exchange them for Costa tokens or McDonald's tokens, whatever you have. But
Yeah,
this kind of interoperability of tokens, that's the main thing that you might be able to do. Of course, they might not have the same value on the open market that they do with Starbucks. You might be able to get I don't know, I don't know how much is a coffee in the US now? Probably like about 20 US by now, right?
it's getting close to that here.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, you might pay about £4 or £5, maybe £6. I'm not
I
much.
know someone with a really bad Starbucks habit. They're on about $30 a day. It's really bad. If you add that up.
Yeah, but I mean, it might be worth your tokens might be worth more as utility in Starbucks. But I could
Yeah,
totally imagine you could take them onto the blockchain and just exchange it with somebody else for their Costa tokens. You might get like 50 cents on the dollar or something like that for them. But yeah, so that's an interesting use case. Certainly, they'll be using the blockchain as the infrastructure to be able to put them in your wallet, right? So
yeah.
if they want your Starbucks tokens to appear next to all your other Web3 tokens and everything, then they'll be doing it on the blockchain.
Part of this is the interface. At the moment, we don't see an interface with Web3, with all this decentralization, this blockchain. We've got exchanges and obviously our wallets and everything. But yeah, this is interesting because it shows you what it could be like.
Right now, we're very used to streaming services, Netflix and YouTube and all of that, Spotify, right?
Yeah,
But we pay a fixed fee per month. Or alternative, we don't pay, we end up being inundated in ads, right?
yeah.
So, of course, if you don't pay for something, then you are the product, right?
I just one quick question. I
Yeah.
think she's watching us, obviously. Look at that little smile.
She's watching our channel, perhaps on YouTube, Dave. I hope
I
so.
think she is. Sorry, carry on with sorry, carry
So
on with your flow.
I can totally imagine that, we'll be paying though in crypto for each song on a far more granular level. Instead of paying, I don't know, 20
Granular.
bucks, 10
Okay.
quid, whatever it is for your kind of streaming service. Um, we might just be paying for every song that we consume. And that's great. That's the great thing about blockchain. It's going to be far more, the transactional rate, the granularity of transactions is far smaller. Maybe they can control their usage a lot more. Maybe it ends up costing them less than it does now.
Yeah.
So community-owned services. This is a really nice one. I love the idea of this. It's huge. We call it DePIN, right? Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. And do you remember, Dave? I think I talked a bit more about it in episode 2.
Yeah.
I talked about helium. Do you remember?
Yeah. Anyone wants to check that out, go back to episode 2. You want to know anything of these, we've got a, you can reference back to our other episodes, no problem.
Yeah, Helium Mobile, it's like the 5G network that's run by the people.
Yeah.
And people install the 5G equipment in their homes and provide bandwidth. And in exchange, they get crypto tokens. They get the Helium Network token, which is worth something. And then they can maybe exchange that for dollars, etc., and make a living. And that's already happening. So again, I've
Yeah.
got this medium term, but it's happening, Dave. But
It's
what I'm kind of
that's huge. I mean, this
it's
huge.
yeah, it's massive and it's amazing. It's lovely to see it. Hive
Yeah.
Mapper, they do the same thing with mapping data. People going around with dash cams um, on the front of their vehicles, of their dashboards, and it's taking in the world around them, the mapping data, and it's converting it into maps, a bit like Google Maps. But in exchange, the people that are driving around, perhaps these are Uber drivers or
Yeah.
the various different ride-hailing apps. At the same time, they put these, they earn a bit more income from, you know,
Yeah.
and they're given honey tokens on the Hive Mapper network. Again, exists already. But 5 years out, it's not far-fetched to think that it's going to be everywhere. I really hope to see community-owned solar networks. So really starts to get energy grids that start to be powered by the people, and the incentives are the crypto tokens. That's really cool, right?
Yeah, very cool. But the coolest thing, of course, is that if we create our own network, then decentralization is complete. You know, we're with this is the thing. We're not relying on any kind of central hub.
Yeah. Um, Now, this is the one that people are maybe a bit skeptical about, and it's what you said before, Dave,
Yeah,
about identity.
yeah,
Um, but what I'm talking about here is self-sovereign identity in the Web3 world. Another name for it might be decentralized identity. And it's like taking your identity and splitting it up into much smaller fragments. And here's the key: you are totally in control of it, right? It's in your
right.
wallet. Those credentials are inside your wallet. And if you want to share some of those credentials with somebody, you might not have to give your entire driving license. Let me give you an example, actually. This is a pretty good example. Imagine you're 18, what is it in the US, 21, you go into a
Yeah,
bar and you want to buy a drink. You do want to prove that you're old enough to drink. Same goes for driving, right? I think anybody realizes that we need to have certain types of identity to have certain
yeah.
societal structure, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's just how it's used. Now, if you go into a bar, you don't necessarily want to hand over your entire driving license with your name, your address, and everything about you to the bar staff. It would be far nicer if, from a Web3 wallet, you could just say, they could scan it and they could go, yes, verified this person is over 18 or over 21.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not getting the rest of the information, your personal information. You're only sharing the bit of information that they need to know you are over 18.
Aha.
And
Okay. Right. That replaces the digital ID completely. Now that you've explained it to me.
there's one extra piece of information that might make you feel even more comfortable.
Okay.
Decentralized identity, they're really pushing to have it the standards created in such a way that when you use your identity, it doesn't phone home. So even if you use a portion of your driving license from the DVLA, or the fact that you are over 18, you just want to use that little portion of it to prove to someone, yes, it's you, here's your photo, and yes, that person's over 18. No address, no other information. Does that alleviate your fears.
Absolutely. It's the integration of everything in one ID that is scary for people. And it's funny you said there you don't want to know that that from your driving license you're in a bar. Well, no, you
Right.
don't, because you might be having half a lager, and then,
Shandy.
you're going to get in your car, and that'll be immediate woo woo. It's
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's a scary
there's
thing.
certain pros. We've got to weigh all this up, Dave, haven't we? We've got
Yeah,
to know that society is functioning in the right way,
yeah.
but maintaining privacy.
I said half a lager. I mean, it's not like I didn't say 5 pints.
Do we need to change our disclaimer, Dave?
I know you, Si. You think in pints.
So, right, the decentralized autonomous organizations. This is really great. We're still in the medium term here, probably sort of 5 to 7 years, but I reckon that DAOs are going to be far more prevalent in everyday life. And what does that mean? So again, decentralized autonomous organizations, they're communities. There's no hierarchy. There's no leader. People get involved. Anyone can get involved. All over the world, they're not kind of restricted to borders, and they achieve stuff together in communities. But governance, all of that's on chain. Voting happens on chain. It's all transparent. Now, we'll start to see it more in everyday life because I think it will be part of everyday clubs, charities, schools might organize themselves as DAOs or
Mhm.
parts of schools. Their budgets are going to be transparently on chain. So
Yeah,
in real time, we'll see how they're spending, where that money is flowing to. Of course, this is one of the best things about the blockchain, or at least from one perspective, everything is transparent.
yeah.
It's also it's a pro and a con from different perspectives. But certainly, if you want a charity, you want to see it's all totally transparent. And I think this is one of the major things that's going to start squeezing out corruption, Dave, in all walks of life.
Well, that I love to hear. That it's just absolutely music to my ears. That the
Yeah.
corruption is running crazy at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's what, again, the whole of this channel is about decentralization and us trying to move to a better structure that will, be much fairer. DAOs really are all about community, transparency, incentivization in the same way that we were talking about the Helium mobile 5G networks,
Yeah, yeah,
people-powered networks, etc. They're
yeah,
incentivized with token structures that, you know, tokens are great because the more and more effort that the community put into a token that might initially be worth nothing
yeah.
slowly gathers value due to the amount of effort that the community puts into their own token ecosystem, right?
Okay, amazing. Yeah,
So far more opportunity, far more incentivization.
plenty of incentive. Yeah.
And let's move out. The picky here might be a little bit ambitious for 10 years. I hope we're living like that in 10 years, but these kind of sci-fi cities. But certainly, I've got the 10 plus years generally here for long term.
I don't think I'll be kicking around when it looks like that, mate. Somehow, I'm not.
So DAOs are going to be running everything. And I know we talked about it in the last slide, but I think, the 5 years to 7 year time period might be starting to make their appearance. But by
Yeah,
10 plus years, I've really started to think that they will running everything. I think that there's going to be a convergence between corporates and the way that DAOs are run. Or certainly corporates, if they still do exist in the same shape, they might have subsidiaries that are DAOs.
right,
Departments might run like DAOs. I think that the people, once they really understand how DAOs are this new version of democracy, far faster, far fairer version of democracy, then they'll be pushing for DAOs to be everywhere.
right. Okay.
Transparent governance, yeah, all the way
People
through. If it's,
people
I
aren't
say
going to like
governance
that.
here, yeah, but it could mean government. I don't know how. We'll
Yeah.
have to see how the governments
Well,
change.
it means what it
Um,
means, Si. We can all see what it means, and it's amazing. If that can be achieved, it's going to change the world.
I think if people can see it working in organizations and scale up to corporates, I don't see any reason why people won't be looking at it from that
Yeah,
perspective as well.
yeah,
Um, some might not like the idea of that right now, but let's see. Um, and the last thing is your full self-sovereign identity. And it's worth reiterating this. I think that whilst we might have elements of credentials and things on chain in a few years' time, it's already possible, technically possible, happening. Certainly within that 5 year horizon, it will be used a bit, but 10 years plus, I think it's going to be everything. I don't really think we'll have traditional forms of identity. I think it will be fully in your control, self-sovereign. Now, it brings me to the last point just before it, AI and Web3 co-pilots for this. It may be the case that there is so much voting going on. Can you imagine it? You're in hundreds of different communities, Dave. You're in lots of different things in the same way that you visit all sorts of different web services now. You might have you might be working for 10 different DAOs, not just one company. You might be working for 10 different DAOs, all with their own sort of governance structures. Now, keeping on top of that might be a bit difficult, right? All these different things that you're being asked
yeah,
to vote on. But this is where I think that AI and Web3 co-pilots for our preferences and our voting, you and I already use AI a fair amount, Dave, right?
yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Wouldn't it be great though if they can be helping us as our assistants know our preferences and vote on various or highlight at least to us, hey, Si, there's a vote going on about a new street light being installed at the end of your residential estate. Are you in favor of this, spending a certain amount of the budget on this? Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's it. Right.
yeah.
Vote. Do you want to vote yes? Right. Just thought I'd ask you, Si.
Or Naked Thursdays, something like that. We
Right.
want Naked Thursdays down our street. I mean, but we don't want AI voting for us, do we? Not really. We want it advising us, don't we?
That's exactly the point. It needs to be an advisor. It needs to
Yeah,
be, yeah, it needs to be a trusted advisor. We
yeah,
don't want it running away with different things,
yeah.
especially
Uh,
Naked Thursdays.
that's so important.
So
Uh, this is
that's the long term, Dave.
wow. Yeah.
I hope that I've kind of given you this kind of feeling. It's a positive feeling, right? I think it's a really
A
positive.
very, very positive feeling. When you look behind each point and you see that the incentive behind this is also, the tokens, and how the tokens grow the more you put in. This has to catch on, and this is the whole point of this channel as well, is that, you don't want to get left behind. You want to be part of this. You really don't want to be going, oh, I don't understand all that stuff, because that's why we started this channel. I said that to you. I don't understand it. It's too geeky. But you don't want to get left behind. This stuff is amazing. And when you go into points like, transparent governance, although we didn't say that's going to be actually government, you can see what this is going to do for society. It's very
You
clear.
you were right as well when you mentioned the wallets and the interfaces and things. That is definitely going to improve just because of the standardization that blockchain brings.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's all coming.
Right. Okay. Well, that was a really good episode. Really enjoyed that. It's given me a little window into the possibilities, and there's a lot of them. A hell of a lot. It's amazing. It's a lot to take on, but really, really exciting, really interesting.